All right, welcome back to NFL Turf Talk. Top 10 running back rankings heading into the 2026 season. Big change from the end, from about 8 to 10 in this list for me, probably from this time last year, man. We'll see how the top of the list looks. We started 1 to 10 for the wide receivers. Let's go 10 to 1 for the running backs. I think I kicked off wide receivers. I'm going to throw it to you. Maybe I'm copying you. I don't know. Who's number 10? Who is the 10th best running back in the 2026 season coming up?
Yeah, this was pretty tough. I don't know, the whole list was tough if I'm being honest, but this was tough specifically with number 10. I feel like I have 9 running backs that I know belong in the top 10, whereas this 10th guy, I don't know, there's a couple other guys I could have went with, but I'm going with this guy for a specific reason. He showed up in the biggest game of his life, and that is Kenneth Walker, man, now on the Kansas City Chiefs. He did go over 1,000 yards last year, had close to 300 receiving yards, 1,300 total yards last year, only 5 touchdowns. But in the Super Bowl, he was the Super Bowl MVP. He had the game of his life for the Seattle Seahawks. He had a great playoff run. That Seattle team was built around that rushing attack with him and Zach Charbonnet. And so I wanted to give a little bit of respect to Kenneth Walker compared to some of the other guys I had thought about maybe putting into the top 10. I gave Kenneth Walker the nod. And I do think he's going to have a pretty great year in Kansas City. I think they're going to hone in on the run, obviously, given Patrick Mahomes recovering from his, torn Achilles or torn ACL? Torn ACL?
I think so. Yeah.
ACL? Yeah. Achilles feels wilder. Yeah, that would be more of a strenuous comeback. But, I like Kenneth Walker in that Kansas City offense this year.
So Scotty starts out by saying accolades matter, guys. And I agree. I told you I would let you go first because I'm copying you. That was only a joke. I have Kenneth Walker at number 10 too. I think the when you look at his overall numbers last year, I think just 5 total touchdowns on the ground in the regular season, just over 1,000 and like I think he had 1,027 rushing yards overall, but 221 carries. This was not a featured back. This was not the guy in Seattle, the clear number 1 that just gets the workload like some of these other guys higher up on the list deservingly get. He had a share time with another really good running back in Zach Charbonnet. And then obviously Walker shined in the postseason, Super Bowl MVP. That matters. But the reason I bring up the carries and the yards, 4.6 a pop, man. That comes in probably around 7th or 8th best in the National Football League last year. So for a guy that didn't get a ton of work, he made the most of it and then obviously shined. So accolades matter. I have Kenneth Walker coming in at number 10 as well.
I like it, obviously. We matched there at number 10. Number 9, I went with a guy out in L.A. by the name of Kyren Williams. He finished last year with close to over 1,500 total yards. Had 13 total touchdowns for the LA Rams. This guy, he is consistent at the end of the day. Like when I get up into the next 8 guys that I have on this list, obviously I would take all those guys over him from a production standpoint. I would take them over him from a talent standpoint as well. He's not my favorite style of running back by any means, but production does matter to an extent. And that is where I come out with Kyren Williams. My big thing there, though, is, there were times last season where we would see Blake Corum, it felt like, right?
Yeah.
Him in the mix a little bit too much for my liking, but maybe that's just perseverance of Kyren Williams' career going forward. He's only 25 years old. So I think this year it'll be an interesting season to see what Kyren's really, really made of out there in LA. If he continues to get the bulk share there, if they try to mix it up even more. But he's been steady over the last 2 seasons for sure.
I'd have to say that Kyren Williams is the snub of my list. Kyren Williams did not make my top 10. He's right there in that 9 to 12, 13 range for me. For a guy that went for almost 1,300 yards and double-digit touchdowns on one of the best offenses, the best offense probably in the National Football League, I get that sounds a little stupid of me. But when I think of Kyren Williams, the style of running back, the type of running back, if you put him anywhere, depending on surroundings, he's very Chase Brown, Travis Etienne, DeAndre Swift, like that group. I think he leads that group, but that's the tier I slide Kyren Williams in.
I get that.
Maybe that's a bad read on my end. Coming in at number 9, it sounds disgusting. And when you talk about benefiting from a system, from an offense, the way these boys can sling the rock, but I think he's found a new home. Javonte Williams comes in at number 9 for me.
Okay.
When he hit the field in Denver, man, I really thought like this was going to be one of the next guys in the league. Did not pan out in Denver at all. Signs a 1-year cheap-ass deal last year with the Dallas Cowboys. And again, maybe it's a result of just being in that type of offense.
Maybe.
But over 1,200 yards last year for Javonte Williams. 11 touchdowns. I mentioned the 4.6 per pop for Kenneth Walker, 4.8 per pop as well for Javonte Williams in 16 games played last year. I think he's got a new home. I think he's a guy in Dallas surrounded by this group, which I know I just kind of took points away from Kyren Williams for. But I think he's a guy that is a steady 1,100 plus yard guy. I think he probably has a ceiling of around 1350, depending on how pass heavy the Cowboys want to be.
No, I don't mind that at all, man. I would, put Javonte, Kenneth Walker, like you said, Etienne, Swift. I'd put them all in those similar categories. They're in the similar tier for me as well. So I definitely get that, man. Number 8 for me is where it kind of gets sketchy. These guys just feel too low. The next 2 specifically feel too low for me. I've got Achane at number 8, man, and he's the guy that I go back and forth on because I do have an inclination to love guys that can impact through the receiving game, right? I love guys that can catch the ball out of the backfield, that can contribute in other ways outside of running the football. But he is, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's a smaller back for my liking.
Probably,
5'9", 191.
Yeah.
I would have to see it. Like, how big is Bijan? 5'11", 215. So he's a little bit smaller than
Yeah.
That's why he goes down on my list, but he's only 24 years old. He is in a Miami offense last year that struggled, quite frankly, at the quarterback position more specifically. And he was still able to put up close to 1,800 plus total yards last season. He's a guy, is what I'm trying to say. I just don't know where he fits in all of this. And we're going to figure that out this season. They've got Malik Willis down there who, showed signs in Green Bay last year at times, right? He can use his legs, though. And that's what I do like for Achane is the ability of Malik Willis to take some of that attention away in the backfield for him. Because this guy is a guy that can score in one punch. So I do like Achane, but given the rest of my list, he just came in at number 8, which does feel too low, man.
We agree again. I had Achane at number 8. If there is a running back that I have in my top 10, health aside, plays most of the year, all of the year, if there's a guy that I fear slides out of my top 10 simply because of production and surrounding this year, it is Achane. You mentioned the Malik Willis thing. I see how you tried to spin it a little positively. I'm not going to do that. When we talk about the AFC East, I am not going to joke around. I am not going to try to play nice like Malik Willis is going to do something in Miami. Speaking of departing, obviously Tua departs, and that Tua has problems, right?
Yeah.
But you also lose Mike McDaniel, that offensive genius, the guy that can score 70 points in a game. Yeah. I think our good friend Kevin Patullo found a job down in Miami as some sort of assistant or whatever. I fear that Achane, with the lack, they move on from Jalen Waddle. There's no more Tyreek Hill, Tua, McDaniels. I have no idea. That's probably, we just talked about the Browns. That's probably the worst team in football. The Miami Dolphins might be the worst team in football this year. And if this dude gets 1,200 yards, he might have to carry the ball 360 times because what are teams going to look to do against Miami? That's my fear with Achane. But as a pure as just a pure talent, a guy that if you want to build, if you were starting a team from scratch, he absolutely is one of the top 8 guys for me. And I do agree with you. I do think he has the overall talent and makings to be much higher on this list. I'm interested to see where you go with 7.
Yeah. This is the one that hurts the most.
Oh God.
Number 7, man. I went with Saquon Barkley. 29 years old. Had 2,000 yards the year before last, right? 1,140 yards last year. Close to 300 receiving yards. He had 9 touchdowns total. Total of 1,400 yards. It's just the guys ahead of him, man. I don't know. The production that they had, it felt wrong for me to put him above them. But in my heart, do I think that Saquon is the 7th most talented running back in the NFL? It's a perplexing situation, and it's hard because I am biased. Obviously, you see what's in my background. I went with Saquon at number 7, just based on production. I think there is 2 guys that I have ahead of him that could kind of regress in production and that he could rise above. But there are, 4 guys ahead of him that I think just are they're going to get the workloads where they are. And that is why I ultimately have them ahead. Yeah, man, I don't know. There's not a ton of reasoning I can put behind Saquon at 7. It hurts me. It really doesn't make sense to me. But I was trying to be as non-biased as possible.
I feel you. I think I said it to you before we started any of this today that I think we built our list a little differently, and not that you just put aside statistics and what happened last year, and you're also looking to this year and what changes in their offenses and what they could potentially do. But for me, I it's more of just an overall talent thing and less of what was your situation like, how many times were you given the ball, et cetera, were you the focal point? So he will be higher for me. I'll get to him in a minute. Coming in at number 7, you want to talk about feeling wrong. Feeling wrong is putting a guy that had 1,600 yards and 16 rushing touchdowns at number 7. But coming in at number 7, I do have the king. I do have Derrick Henry. Man, he put together that year. He still carried the ball 307 times. And you and I were talking. It felt like I had him in fantasy last year. It felt like a guy that was getting replaced by Justice Hill at times throughout the year. I was mocking John Harbaugh for how is this dude not getting the ball in certain instances in the game, the fumbling issue. And I think the interesting thing about the king, man, is how do you penalize a guy for being humongous and strong and fast? Because you know what I mean? Derrick Henry should not be getting a penalty for being as fucking massive as he is. But the way I went a little bit about my top 7 is, if you were all created equal, who's more talented? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I feel like
I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Like, Derrick Henry is so effing big, he can slip and fall into 1,200 yards. Where other guys are 5'11" and are just so talented, they go for 1,500 yards.
Yeah. I get what you're saying.
He's so talented. I'm kind of joking. It kind of went into my thinking a little bit. You guys can guess of what's the truth. But Derrick Henry at number 7. Let's get into the top 6.
Yeah, no, number 6 for me is going to be King Henry, as you mentioned. You mentioned it. He falls into 1,600 yards, 16 touchdowns. He doesn't give you much in the passing game. He never really has. So that is a little bit of a detractor for me. But I guess, 32 years old, you just have to wonder, like, when does he stop being the outlier as far as like a regression or a
how many shots to those knees are just going to be too much to overcome, dude?
It doesn't make sense, but he finished second in the NFL with rushing yards and over 1,100 yards after contact. 1,100 yards after contact ridiculous, which is why he does come in at number 6 for me. But yeah, numbers speak for themselves. And you could say this about a lot of guys his age and getting up there in age in the NFL. When does that decline come? What does the decline look like? Is it a sharp decline or is it a gradual decline? I think somebody of his size, I do think it's going to be a sharp decline.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that he can't keep playing at a high level for the next 2 to 3 seasons. He could.
Yeah, no, for sure. But I think when the wheels fall off, they're going to completely fall off. It's not going to be a flat tire and patch it up. And, he has a little bit more left in him. I think the size, the workload as well, man. I mean, every year it's over 300 carries. Every single year. Saquon went over 300 carries once with us, and we were like, uh-oh, like we got to lower this or else he's not going to last. And you're talking a guy, like, I guess the size helps Derrick Henry for that, but also at a certain point, like I said, man, how's he getting taken down a lot, Scotty? Can the guys just tackle him high? No. So these knees, these legs are just getting buried time and time again. So yeah, coming in at number 6 for me, though, this is where I would have drawn the line for Derrick Henry. This is the guy that I was going to put Derrick Henry above. My top 5 is my top 5.
Mm-hmm.
I have James Cook coming in at 6. Okay. The leading rusher last year, over 1,620 rushing yards, double-digit 12 rushing touchdowns, a threat in the passing game like you mentioned. And I think the interesting thing, man, like, that was a Buffalo Bills team, yes, led by Josh Allen, but that just simply did not have anything through the air. Just simply did not have a playmaker guy. They go out, they trade for DJ Moore this offseason. That's nice for them. But DJ Moore was not there last year. And so for James Cook to impact the game through the air and on the ground as much as he did, for a guy that, I mean, I don't know what his career high was prior to the 2025 season, but for him to have 309 carries, leading the league in attempts as well, that's not something that I don't think James Cook was accustomed to prior to 25. And so he came in, led the league in rushing, 12 rushing touchdowns, dual threat type of guy. I'll put him at 6. I think you can make the argument that James Cook can go anywhere from 5 to like 8 on this list. Yeah, given the numbers from last year, I'll give a little grace.
Yeah, man. James Cook, he comes in at number 5 for me. I know you had him at number 6. I'm one ahead of you here, but James Cook comes in my top 5. It is crazy, and I didn't even look at this before I put him where I put him. He averages 5.1 yards per carry for his career, man. 4 seasons in the NFL, 5.1 yards per carry. He had 507 rushing yards his rookie season, 1,122 rushing yards his second season, 1,009 yards his third season with 16 touchdowns. And then he has the 16-21 that we saw last year with the 12 tutties. His highest receiving mark was in his sophomore year with 445, so close to 500 receiving yards back in 2023. So I guess what I'm trying to say, he has proven that he's consistent. This past year is when he's been able to take it to the next level.
Yeah.
We'll see this year if he can continue that. He's going to be a focal point of that Buffalo offense once again. But like you said, the durability season to season, is he going to be able to withstand leading the NFL or close to leading the NFL in touches? We'll see. He's got a smaller frame for a running back, and if we're being realistic, but he does seem like a very tough running back at the same time, playing in Buffalo in that cold weather. I have a lot of respect for James Cook. It's interesting though. But if you went like talent, right? Like if you just went like talent-based only, no production factors.
Exactly.
Where would he really come in?
Like would you say James Cook or Devon Achane is more talented? I'm not saying Cook's not, but I'm also, I can't just say
Achane for explosiveness.
Yeah. I think both make an argument. But yeah, I think he's in that territory. Now I get into my top 5, and I think my top 5 is solid. I know that where I get to, 4 of them are coming in your top 4. I don't suspect there's any
you can probably guess the rest of my list. For sure.
I sure can, because coming in at number 5 for me, I don't know if this is going to be the correct order, but I do have the Colts, Mr. Jonathan Taylor, coming in there. That talk about a guy that's led the league in rushing before. basically 1,600 yards again last year, 4.9 on average, 18 rushing touchdowns, 323 carries. So I'm sorry, I had skipped past him when I mentioned James Cook's carries. Jonathan Taylor led the way with 323. Talk about a workhorse. Talk about a dude that's done it for the last 3+ years. Can impact the game in both ways, through the air and on the ground. He's just one of the most talented guys I've seen carry the football, with a mix of vision and quickness and size and everything. He's so good. And you're talking about doing it in a system where Daniel Jones, and look, Daniel Jones had them in a playoff spot, but Daniel Jones was next to you. And then he goes down and the Colts fall apart because that's how bad the quarterback play had to be after that. So Jonathan Taylor has not really been given an opportunity to play next to a premier passer in this league. And he's not again this year with Danny Dimes returning, but they had a lot of success last year. Danny Dimes is a dual threat, which can help in the read option game as well in Steichen's offense. So Jonathan Taylor comes in at 5.
Yeah, no, I love it. He comes in at number 4 for me as well. And it's funny, man. I'm just thinking of Saquon, who I had down at number 7. And, Jonathan Taylor, to me, looks like a younger version of Saquon, quite frankly. He's about 2-3 years younger than Saquon. They have similar builds. I think Jonathan Taylor, he's like 5'11", 225-ish. Saquon 6 foot, 230-ish. And they're bigger, muscular, built running
Taylor's
back.
5'10", 226.
Yeah, so you see what I'm getting at? Just that lower base of the legs, like the muscular big legs. He reminds me a lot of Saquon, man. But he was rolling on all cylinders last season, and it was his first season. Well, no, he's had 2 seasons now, but even the season before that, he missed a few games. He's been unhealthy up until last season. He's missed at least 3 or 4 games in each season. Prior to that, the 3 seasons before. So you finally got to see him get back to health. He's at 4.9 yards per carry. Had a total of 1,900 total yards across receiving and rushing. So yeah, he comes in at number 4 for me. This guy is just, is it fair to say he's like your prototype running back build? There's a couple other guys in the mix here that
for sure. Well. But he's the guy that you give the ball 330 times to on the ground.
Yeah, he's built for it.
He's again more of a different, smaller, muscular build. But like Nick Chubb for a while to me was the best pure runner in football. Like was the prototypical running back. Yeah. I think Taylor is the closest thing to that. Plus the guy I have coming up very shortly. Coming in at number 4. Christian McCaffrey.
Okay.
Now, when I get to these 4, I think they're interchangeable, 1 through 4. I think any of these guys can be the best running back in all of football. I think Jonathan Taylor could even be in that conversation as well. But Christian McCaffrey comes in at number 4. You talk about loving a dual threat. You talk about loving doing it through the air and on the ground. 311 carries, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns just on the ground. I will say 3.9 a pop last year.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting to see the bounce back there. You mentioned staying healthy. 17 games played for CMC, something he has not been accustomed to doing as well throughout his career. But he's the guy, right? He is the focal point. He is the, what's the best piece in chess? Is it your king or your bishop? Whatever.
Don't play a ton of chess. I won't lie to you.
Okay. He is Kyle Shanahan's king. Like there is no Niners offense without Christian McCaffrey. There is no Niners threat in a playoffs without Christian McCaffrey. So he comes in at number 4 for me with the upside of always being the best running back in football.
Yeah, no, he comes in at number 3 for me as well. Total of 2,100 plus yards last year, right? He was up over 900 receiving yards, up over 1,200 rushing yards. Had 17 total touchdowns last season. It is.
900 receiving yards.
It's ridiculous.
He almost had more receiving yards than Josh Jacobs had rushing yards this year.
He's basically getting the ball every single down for parts of the game. You know what I mean? There's times where he has to be getting the ball like 6 times in a row, right, on a said drive. Like, that's the type of input that CMC is having. All that being said, man, this season specifically, if I had to pick one guy off this list that I think is going to decline in a sense, and he's already banged up in preseason, man. Yeah. He's already banged up.
That's the knock on him. That's always going to be the knock.
That is the knock, and he does get the ball so much that he's going to be put in position. Like, I don't think they're going to tone back CMC's involvement this year, and so I just see him, kind of in and out of that lineup again, just because like you said, he played 17 games last year. The year before that, he played 4. Yeah. So you're going to probably end up
San Fran has to be the most unlucky team when it comes to injuries each of the last 4 seasons.
That's a great point too.
Every year, and I think they already are. I think already something happened in their preseason.
Something weird going on in their practice facility and shit. They got weird stuff going on there.
So I do agree. Unfortunately,
he's a hell of a talent.
He's going to be on the bench at times as well.
He's 30 years old too. He is getting to that point, I guess you could say. I still got a lot of respect for CMC.
Coming in at number 3. All right, I'm going to end your fear of how high I put Saquon. Saquon comes in at number
3. How bad is he going to make me look, man?
No. And I'll put the bias backpack on. Don't worry, I'll wear it proudly. It might have something to do with that, especially if you're going off production from last year. Yeah, that's going to weigh heavily in your vote. If you're watching this, then of course you're going to look at me like I'm a dummy, like I'm a biased Eagles fan, whatever.
Yeah.
This is a dude that, I mean, if they wanted to, would have broken the rushing record 2 years ago. Yeah. Didn't play in week 18. Obviously, the extra game, so it does even out. But you get the point. Went for 2K was the catalyst his first year in Philly. All the big runs throughout the year, all the big runs in the postseason leading up to the Super Bowl game. And then the Chiefs just had to focus on him, and the Eagles defense and Jalen beat the shit out of him. We all remember that. You get to last year. What we're calling a down year is still almost 1,200 yards on the ground and 7 rushing touchdowns. You mentioned it, 9 total. That's a down year. Also, a game less, right? Played 16 games last year.
Yeah.
This is a combination of bias, of a little bit longer of a grace period than last year, and what I'm predicting for this year. And just, again, my overall viewpoint of if I was starting an NFL team from scratch tomorrow, which running backs would I take to build my team? I think Saquon Barkley still, and I think from that standpoint, that's where you would elevate him. I think you are looking at the numbers, like how do I put him above Henry and some of these guys from their numbers last year? So I totally feel you.
I would take him over Derrick Henry, and I would take him over James Cook.
Yeah.
Just straight up.
Right. And then anything other than that, like, I'm not going to sit here and argue Jonathan Taylor and Christian McCaffrey.
He's just a younger, it's youth at that point. Yeah. That's my argument. But at the same time,
to me, I think this is a top 3 running back in the National Football League with, again, can have the best season of all running backs this year. We'll see what the workload looks like. We'll see how much time Tank Bigsby gets on the field. They don't want Saquon carrying the ball 300 times again. What Mannion's offense looks like. These are all unknowns, but I think it has all the makings for Saquon to have a really, really good year. So he slides in at number 3 for me. And then our top 2, I'm interested to see if there's a flip here. We know who the 2 are. I'm interested to see who you have at number 1.
Yeah, I think, I thought about it, but I just couldn't. So, I'll finish out my list here. I got Jahmyr Gibbs at number 2, and I've got Bijan at number 1, man.
Me too.
I was looking at Gibbs. He does have the benefit of coming into this season without David Montgomery. They did add Pacheco, but I think Pacheco's less than Montgomery, in my opinion. Just, I don't know. That can be discussed. That's for another day, though. I look at Jahmyr Gibbs. He obviously, I think he can put up Bijan numbers. Like I would look at them on the same tier, I guess you would say. But Bijan, he's just on another level right now. He was approaching 2,300 total yards last season. 1,400, close to 1,500 rushing yards, over 800 receiving yards. He had 11 total touchdowns. You would like to see the touchdown amount go up a little bit. Algiers out of there, though.
Yeah,
right?
And that's what I was going to say. And I think Saquon gets brought into that, too. Like, all the tush pushes, all the inside the 5 stuff that goes to Jalen, Saquon could get. They gave Tyler Algier the ball a lot inside the 5-yard line on the goal line.
But Bijan, just for my money, you talk about who you want in your backfield that can do everything. That dude, he's a monster. He's only, 24 years? Him and Gibbs, only 24 years old, man. They're like clearly the future of the position. Both of those guys, it's hard for me to separate them. I'm just going by production at that point, if I'm being honest. I view them very similarly.
That's the order I have as well. I have Jahmyr Gibbs coming in at number 2. I have Bijan 1, and the same thing as you. For a split second, I almost went not hot take because it's not a hot take, but I almost gave Gibbs the nod to be a little different because I think a lot of people know. At the end of the day, I think Bijan Robinson is the best running back for multiple reasons in the National Football League right now.
Yeah.
Pure runner, dual threat ability, pass and catch and on the ground.
Yeah.
The numbers back it up. His rookie year, remember how weird his rookie year was, dude, where they benched him in the first half and no one knew it because of something weird. Algier just got Bijan Robinson, but 287 carries.
Right.
Like, again, that's still a lot of carries, and he catches the ball a lot. So I understand it evens out a bit, but 323 carries for Jonathan Taylor in Indianapolis' system, 287, almost 50 less. That's weird to me. So I think there's room that he continues to get the ball even more. You want to talk about as advertised coming out of college. You want to talk about worth it, high draft pick running back. It is this dude. He has lived up to everything coming out of Texas. You look at all the recent picks, the Ashton Genties, and I'm not trying to shit on Ashton Genty. He's still got time, right? You look this year with the Jeremiah Love and Cardinals situation. We'll see what he turns into as long as he can stay on the field. But most teams get burned by taking a running back, not only in the first round, but specifically like the top 10. And Saquon was another guy that got picked early on. Now the Giants were ass, and he was still really good, but that's not what the Giants needed at the time, right? And I think they were paying the price for that as well. Bijan's just so talented. You want to know how talented he is? Jahmyr Gibbs comes in at number 2. And we're not even talking about Jahmyr Gibbs because all the focus is on Bijan Robinson at 1.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe that's not fair, but that's just how good he is. So, yeah.
And I'll
Bijan 1, Gibbs 2. I think a lot of people have it the same way. From a fantasy football standpoint, I think that's the way it is for the most part as well. But that's not even just what these two bring to the table. They're the 2 best running backs in the game.
No, and I agree with everything you said. And I'll just add, like, you could also throw in the Lions' weapons around Gibbs as a detractor as well. I'm not doing that, but you could do that. Are they the 2 highest paid running backs now? Or am I mistaken in that?
Well,
I know they got new contracts.
Yeah, well, I don't know, but Jeremiah loves him.
Is he the highest? That's why. Yeah, that's why I was asking.
He's the highest. If my memory serves me correct, he's the highest guaranteed. I don't know if it's hand in hand with highest overall as well, but that's why I was just kind of not laughing at the fact that the kid's injured, but laughing at the Cardinals for their business decision, and he's already not seeing the field to start. So
Gibbs got 75.75 million max with 51.5 million in guaranteed money on a 3-year deal. Bijan got a 3-year. It's funny, they did like minuscule differences, but Gibbs just does does like by like less than a million, brother. Like,
right, I just gotta be a little better.
He's got 51 million guaranteed, and then looks like sets a record for most total guaranteed money and largest signing bonus, 35 million, but that doesn't say what his guaranteed money is. But nonetheless, I say all that. It speaks to the value that the Lions and the Falcons feel they have in their running backs to make them the highest paid guys in the league. In a league that does not didn't used to like to pay running backs. Let's put it that way. Didn't used to.
No, I agree.
Running backs. Great list, though, man.
Yes, sir. All right, top 10 running backs. Next up on the docket, top 10 quarterbacks. We'll be doing that later on in the week and releasing over the weekend. Make sure to follow, subscribe on all platforms. We appreciate